Costco guys and the Rizzler family vlogger controversy. You can never make me hate them.
So the Costco guys and the Rizzler kid are absolutely everywhere. It's unavoidable at this point. And some questions.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm mutuals with the Costco guys, but I think the Rizzler's starting to win out. There's something very likable. There's nothing unlikable about the Costco guys, but there's something like this. The Rizzler has a certain je ne sais quoi. I don't really know what that means, but I think it means that they're cool as hell. So.
Questionable behind-the-scenes footage has been leaked. And I feel like everyone's overlooking this because it's not your traditional thought of a mommy family vlog. But in my deep dive on the Costco guys and the Rizzler, I found some very interesting stuff and some very disturbing things.
I mean, they've been trying to do content for a long time. He just seems like a dad that wants to do content with his kids. He seems like a fine father, okay?
And I think we need to keep talking about the insane lack of child labor laws and protections when it comes to this stuff on the internet until something actually gets done about it.
I agree that we should have conversations, but just to be clear, I don't think that they're really doing a lot of work. Okay, there's a difference between making Malcolm in the Middle, right, versus filming silly TikToks every once in a while. They don't, like, the content creation nowadays is extraordinarily low effort. Do I think that there should be a law that forces money into the accounts of these kids for when they turn 18? 1,000%. That's pretty much where I'm at. That's pretty much it. They don't seem like they're particularly massively stressed. They're meeting up with people and doing like a silly little collab, and then they're ending their day. It's nothing. I can't imagine that they have like 12-hour work days making 30-second TikToks, especially since most of them every day are just them dancing like this, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But okay.
Let's get into it. If you don't already know, the Costco guys are a father-son duo, and the Rizzler is just a random kid who actually isn't related to them, even though a bunch of people think that he is. Turns out that is just
Who thinks that? Then you're uneducated.
A random kid that they partner with. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
It's not a random kid. He's the Rizzler, and he's Black Panther, by the way. He is the Black Panther. If you don't understand that, then you are uneducated swine.
They go by AJ and Big Justice.
Hell
Their
yeah.
actual family is made up of 4 people: a son, a daughter, a mom, and dad.
Yeah.
All the other...
I see the more mom and dad. Listen, I said this the first time I saw the mom. God bless. You know, good for the dad, you know?
Random kids you see in their videos are just that. And on their page, you'll see they partner with other child influencers frequently. But more specifically, they partner with this kid that goes by the Rizzler, whose real name is Christian Joseph. And a lot of people think that because they're always...
Did we know that? I feel like that might be intrusive for you to say his full name, but okay.
Posting content marked like family or father or whatever, that they're all related, but they're not. This is a random child who's completely unrelated, and he goes by the Rizzler because Riz is short for charisma. So essentially his...
I guess. I guess Riz is... Is that what Riz is short for? I know it kind of means the same thing, but I never heard that before.
His whole bit is that this small child is really good at hitting on fully grown women. And
I don't think that's his whole bit at all, just to be clear. I saw this video here. It was a silly little video, but like I've unironically comes across the feed, and it's him and his like grandpa, and they're just funny and cute together. I don't think his whole thing is doing that. I think that he's just memeing, calling himself the Rizzler. This is the only time I've ever seen him flirt with somebody, and it wasn't even that crazy at all. It was just a silly video.
You'll see they got a lot of backlash and had to remove this video where they partnered with an adult content creator.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. If that's the case, you guys probably shouldn't have done that. It's not very good. That's a little over the line for me, because he doesn't adult content. Maybe you shouldn't be mixing that, but... Okay.
And a big part of his bit is to do like this Riz up whatever face.
He's mogging, dude. What the fuck? Who are you? What are you talking? He's mogging, dude. He's a professional mogger, bro. What the fuck?
At first I thought, okay, maybe we're rocking with like an Andy Milonakis style situation where he's actually a lot older than he looks.
No.
And so that makes all of these jokes okay.
What joke are we talking about? Other than this video here, if I take your word for it, because I don't really know. I don't see a problem.
But no, while no one can figure out his exact age, the general consensus is that he's about 8 or 9. Okay. The next most concerning thing you'll find about the Rizzler is if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of his page and look at his first videos now.
All the way to the bottom? Okay.
Originally, they were just like him as a baby dancing, which was pretty cute. But very quickly, his father had him trained to do dances and catchphrases and lip-syncing audios.
Okay.
Some of the content was a little bit more wholesome and adorable kid stuff before the dad realized that people thought it was funny to dress this child up as like a Chad of sorts. And it is very clear.
You mean the Rizzler?
From the style of their page that the father's intention with the whole account was always to make this kid go viral and profit off of him.
I feel like the way you're saying it is so insidious. Like, listen, I'm not really that against family channels necessarily, as long as there's reasonable boundaries created. I don't like the ones that prank their kids, because that pranking goes into harassment very quickly and they sensationalize more and more. But everything I've seen from them is mostly just like cute, silly little content. And I've seen like a decent amount of the kid on TikTok. It's like funny. It's like a minute video you watch, you know, and pretend to be Black Panther. I don't even know if it's the dad or the grandpa. It's pretty innocent stuff, and it seems like the kid's having fun. Again, we're talking about low effort content. You know, if you there's conversations to have, obviously, about how much work you're doing, and fame being a lot for a kid, especially if they're interacting with the positivity and negativity of the internet, because positivity and negativity can be very detrimental to your mental health when you're a content creator, especially if it's part of like your financial lifeblood, right? But like, you get a lot of views, huge boost, awesome. You get very few views, you're on a low now. Then you pop again, it puts your expectations back up. So you're going through these shifts of high and low. I guess maybe there's serotonin or some kind of whatever bullshit in your head that will cause you to go up and down. But it seems like the effort is extraordinarily low. He's not in any dangerous situations. If the dad or whatever hoping that he blows up in viral is fine, as long as he's not, torturing his kid if they don't become viral. And this idea of wanting to profit off it sounds so insidious. Like, I mean, you're trying to make it seem like he's trying to take advantage of him, when it seems more like, oh, that's just a father and son, or a grandpa and son having fun together, and they're kind of just like milking it, and it's just silly goodness. Like, the last clip I saw of the Rizzler was him eating hot wings at Jinxie's house, and they were too hot, and he wanted to throw up, and then he was rizzing up the Costco guy's daughter. He was being a little silly, maybe he has a shot in 10 years though, because I think that he's like 8 and she's like, I don't know, older than that, 15 or something. But okay. It
was mostly pretty curated and intentional. And sadly, the first video they had that blew up really huge was a video of the kid shoving food into his mouth. I don't think I
Okay, what is that? Why are you saying it like that?
To explain the issue with that, but we will circle back to it later.
What is the issue? I have to hear her argument with that. Because he's fat? Like, what's the issue?
Because then the rest of their content was mostly kind of clickbaity, going and looking at toys in stores content, which was fine.
Adorables? Wow, we have a lot of those.
Until the kid made a Riz joke about a penguin that people seemed to love, and the dad just never let go and rebranded the kid as the Rizzler.
Yeah, cool.
An especially sad thing I've noticed with some of this kid's content, which you can tell he's very much so just like watching the people around him being told what to do. All of his behavior is obviously learned and he's being scripted. But
okay, what? Why is this coming off so? This is so weird.
Sometimes he'll like break character, like in this one where he's like, I want to go ride on the pirate ship at whatever park they're at, and the dad's like, no, we got to do this stuff or whatever. And it's like, just let the poor kid be a kid. You can still see him in there.
Okay, I mean, he's probably still a kid. I don't know. I'd have to see can you show us what you're talking about? Because you have a very negative framing of everything.
But yeah, I think the Rizzler stuff is super inappropriate and it's getting out of hand.
I don't think so. This seems inappropriate if that was an OF creator, but like most of it just seems silly, like silly goosery.
Very quickly, especially with this controversial video. Now, in a somewhat similar fashion, AJ and Big Justice actually started out a decade ago. Because I found that they had an old YouTube family channel that was actually pretty well edited. And clearly his dad was trying to go viral as a family vlog. And it was honestly mostly just cute home videos. If you scroll down to the very bottom of their TikTok channel, you see the dad started with very curated content and was always intent on going viral. He started by giving like financial advice. And then he started giving a few food review videos here and there. And then they did the Costco food reviews. And then he merged it and started doing it with his son. That's cool. You could immediately tell that videos with his kids eating food are the ones that got the most attention. And why is
eating food? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just them at Costco yelling.
Why is that a top?
It's not about them eating food. It's them at Costco yelling.
Got the most attention.
That's where they really blew up.
Attention. And why is that a topic I would be quite cautious of dragging children into? Well, that goes hand in hand with a different question I asked, which is, he has a daughter, right? Like, why isn't she participating more here?
Maybe she did. Well, she is now. Maybe she didn't want to do it to the same degree as the dad. I mean, excuse me, as the son. I don't know. The kid has enough agency to make their own decisions. I don't know.
Well, if you go look at any of the videos that their daughter Ashley is featured in, the comment section is all about her and deeply disturbing. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but it doesn't.
Yeah, they're making inappropriate comments about her and her body. Sure. Which is wrong because she's a fucking teenage kid. Like, she's like 15 or something. Sure, I agree. Now, granted, some of these are probably also teenage kids saying stuff. But can you be more direct about your criticism instead of a lot of implications? A lot of very insidious implications that you're making here.
It doesn't look like they're doing much to stop this or filter these comments out, which is really upsetting.
Okay.
But I will say after this, it looks like they don't feature her as much anymore. And when they do, she's very intentionally dressed and covered up.
Okay, good, I guess. It's good. Okay.
Extremely sad that we live in a world where that happens. And of course, eventually they ended up
So, like, if they kept featuring her more intensely, would you criticize them for that? Like, what's your criticism here?
at Costco and did their big, we're Costco guys. It's a double chunk chocolate cookie.
Yeah.
Video, and that's really what propelled them into stardom, and they were able to spin that into a whole brand.
Yeah.
My main concern that's been brought to light more with these videos that have been surfacing is that this is still like child labor.
Who cares? Listen, I'm older. I'm 34. I started working when I was like 12. I used to work at my uncle's deli. On the weekends, I'd work like fucking sometimes 12 hours a day. I'm not sitting here saying you should force kids to work all day, of course. That's, part of it was babysitting too. I was a young kid. My mom went to work. But like, it's okay that kids work and develop a work ethic. That's okay. Again, this is kids. It's okay if kids work. I had friends in high school who worked in high school. I understand that they're younger than high school. The Rizzler's 8. But do you guys think that they're working like this super hard manual labor? No, they're having fun on social media. Now, if you want to show me something where it becomes extraordinarily toxic and really long work hours, that's fine. But like, I'm not part of the virtue signal crew that doesn't think kids should work. I worked when I was young. It helps you develop work ethic. And it's like, it's not even just work. And you're like, I disagree. No, you don't, because like you're believing after school programs for kids, right? Like that's work. Having your kid work towards a sport is still work. It's just they're not getting paid, right? They're developing a skill in a different way. Maybe they're developing a football skill or a chess club skill or theater or whatever. Or they can go to work at McDonald's and they can develop a work ethic skill, although you're generating work ethic generally speaking. But you understand my point. There should obviously be limits to how much you should work. But there's nothing wrong with people working. It's when that work becomes abusive. And for kids, like they need to make sure that they have a more curated work schedule. I could never imagine that their content that these guys engage in would ever be so much work that these kids are fucking miserable. So like, just because they do work doesn't matter. Especially since, what did Rihanna say? Work, 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 work. It was Rihanna, right? I don't know.
Content creation is a full-time job at that size. And some of
okay.
these behind the scenes.
You want to try to... Listen, I'm a content creator. I'm decently successful. You'd be surprised. I've worked like 25 hours a week, okay? Though what they do is they meet up with people and then they film content together, and then the editing is probably the most strenuous part, and dad probably edits the content. They're not on a full-time basis right now, okay? The undertones here is that making content is a full-time job. It can be, but it's not for these guys. It might be for the dad. The dad might be putting in... Dad is probably doing all the networking, all the video editing, and all the idea generation for all this stuff. Even then, it's probably not a full-time job. He's also the one probably driving them or taking flights with them, right? Or paying for the flights. But the kids, what are the kids doing? They're just showing up. Maybe they have to fly somewhere, but they're just showing up. They're not doing the same work as dad. And even for dad, I doubt it's a full-time job. It's probably work. I'm not demeaning what he does. He's got to put that eyeliner on. You can tell. It looks nice, though. You're acting like these kids are being fucking abused in child labor laws. This is just like a Costco guy's hate video.
These videos have been getting leaked, where we can see the dad like stopping and making them re-record
Who
until they
cares?
get it right, and the
Who cares?
kid doesn't seem like he's having that much fun doing it.
Oh no! So here's a couple of things here. First and foremost, I've seen those videos. They're not a big deal. Like, you guys act like that kid can't fucking, like, he's not dying because his dad's like, no, I want to do it like this. The dad's curating. He has a level of a script. Hey, you did this wrong. Is dad beating the kids, or is he like, no, don't do that? It's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to get frustrated with your kids, and it's okay to teach your kids how to do something. And in this case, it's content creation. When I used to do my content much more like curated on TikTok, and we'll call them the dark ages, okay, where my content wasn't as good. I would do it. If you watch my old stuff, I would do like, say a sentence, and then I would pause it, and then I would like start it again. So there's like a lot of little cuts because I couldn't remember everything that I wanted to say exactly, and I needed time to come to what I wanted to say. And I would get upset with myself and frustrated and angry when I couldn't figure out exactly what to say, or I didn't say it in the right way. That just happens as a content creator. It's very normal. Who cares if his dad gets kind of angry at him? It's funny that we'll make jokes about how kids will hand dad the wrong tool and dad will get kind of pissed, and that's like funny, and it is a relatable experience, and it's okay to get angry at your kid. But in this case, all of a sudden we want to pretend that it's some kind of abuse. And that's the undertone of this video. That's the undertone I'm getting. And if I'm getting that undertone, a lot of people probably are. Who cares if he's frustrated with his kids sometimes when they're making content? Like, who gives a shit? It's okay. It doesn't seem like they're having fun. Who cares? Why do we always have to have fun? A formative part of life is learning that you don't always need to enjoy an experience or have fun with every experience. Some experiences that you just go to and you kind of deal with. We have that all the time. I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm going to just say it. That's the reason why people go to other people's wakes for somebody's death when you don't really know the person who died, because you're going somewhere for somebody else and you're doing something for somebody else that you probably don't want to do. There's obviously more examples than that. Being in school, not always particularly fun, right? There's a lot of experiences that aren't always fun. Going to grandma's house doesn't always have to be fun for everybody. I enjoy seeing my grandmother, but like you understand my point. Sometimes it's okay to just be there and do something you may not necessarily want to do, especially if there's a positive goal and a positive outcome. And if these guys are getting money out of this, I would imagine that they're giving some of that money to their kids. Now, maybe they're not, and then that's a whole different conversation. Like I said, I think that these kids should have money that's always reserved for them in a bank account, right? From a child labor law perspective, especially when it comes to like these, this isn't Hollywood, but you understand my point. Influencer type stuff. But like, unless you show me some kind of abuse of power, like, you giving me a quick rundown on a video that was fine when I watched it, it's not a big deal at all. You're not going to change my mind. Like, I'm not overly sensitive.
So yes, this was always very intentionally supposed to be a job that was supposed to be viral to get them money.
So what?
The job being...
You're literally a content... I'm assuming it's your job. You're a verified content creator, at least on TikTok, with 257,000 views, and that means that you probably have to have something else on the side because that has not enough followers, 257,000 followers, not enough followers to get verified unless you have a successful platform elsewhere.
All right, you guys.
What you don't? What the fuck? How do you wait? Why am I not verified? If you have 22,000 on your TikTok, and you only get like 300 views a video. I mean, excuse me, on your YouTube. What's your big platform? None of your platforms are successful. Why the fuck am I not verified? What the fuck? What's your Twitch at? Your Twitch is gone. What are you, a big Twitter person? 2,000, dude. What the fuck? Why am I not verified? How do you get verified nowadays? What do I gotta? What I gotta do? I don't even want the verification. I don't need it anymore. Okay, I really don't understand why. Clearly, it's very intentional that you want to be successful, but I can't imagine you make any you make a meaningful income doing this. But you know what?
Crumble cookies.
I could be wrong. Anyway, you're doing it intentionally too. Who cares? Who gives a shit?
Being fun was clearly always a secondary. And I do
Who cares?
think it's concerning that in this day and age, we can have all of these rules for children in the entertainment industry and whatnot. Still not nearly enough for these children influencer vlogging channels.
How do you know that? You don't know. There does need to be more rules and regulation, but you're just instantly assuming that because they're kids making content that they must be getting abused by their dads.
Given that the dad started his account by being a financial advice channel, I do hope that behind the scenes he's at least setting up a big savings fund for a lot of the money of this channel that this kid is responsible for helping bring.
Sure, I agree with that, but the rest of your video is insidious in nature. It's trying to imply an insidious thing happening.
My main concern really is this little Rizzler kid and his family. Because despite the fact that they dress him up to look older, he is...
Dude, I actually want to use bad words. They dress him up to look older? He's wearing a fucking fitted hat and like a John Cena armband. I could barely see the kid. How do you dress kids? This kid's not dressed inappropriately. He's rizzed up. Dressing kids, you'd realize that kids are like little humans, right? Like, as long as you're not putting your kids in thongs and exposed clothing, it doesn't matter. How is this kid dressed older? He's just dressed. Dude, I hate to say this, but like, she's trying to imply that the parents are sexualizing the kid. If you get that vibe from this picture here, you're the one doing it to the kid. That's your weird, some kind of weirdo brain doing that. Because I'd look at a kid just being silly. He looks like he's dressed like John Cena. You're saying that he's dressed older. What are you trying to dog whistle here? You guys are so brain rot terminally online. That's so weird. It's just so weird the way that you guys interpret. Okay.
Him up to look older. He is little. And teaching a child to act like this is probably going to have a lot of psychological problems down the road.
Which one? Explain it to me. Explain to me the psychological problem that you think is going to come from this kid dressing older. Nothing. He's fine. Nothing. Now, if you want to have a conversation about how social media can have a negative impact on people's mental health, I'm there for the conversation. But you're implying that they're dressing him older and that's going to have psychological problems. You're asserting, but despite the fact that you probably have no actual mental health credentials in any capacity, that he is going to have some kind of trauma associated with this. He won't. Is there going to be an interaction with social media if he is no longer successful in the future? Yeah, there might be. He might get upset and he might get sad. It can be very overwhelming to have a lot of eyes on you and to have very positive or negative affirmations of you. Both of them can be very toxic. Positive ones can make you feel too good, can make you feel too confident sometimes and like lose your ego. And I've been there before. And negative ones can break you down, right? So creating a solid boundary of not having your kid interact with comments is probably a really good idea, especially for somebody who's that age. But you're sitting here and you're trying to sensationalize and assume that every bad thing will happen and this kid will be traumatized because he's dressing up like John Cena and going like this and mogging and being the Rizzler. Like you're insane. This is insane. You're acting like this kid's the next fucking Michael Jackson. It's weird. It's very, I don't know if you're so terminally online that you've convinced yourself that this is true, or you're so desperate for attention yourself that you're sensationalizing as much as possible, try to make these Costco guys look bad. It's weird. It's just it's very pearl clutchy. I don't think that you really believe this, and if you do, God bless you, because like you're having a terrible, like you're the mental health problem with this content is because you're so vacuumed into online spaces that you like think the worst of everything. You're probably constantly afraid every time you see social media interaction, which is a whole other conversation to have, like about how people will look at social media and think the worst of the entire world because they're seeing the worst of the world signal boosted at them day in and day out, blasting you in the face, despite the fact that year over year, we are safer as a society, right? So like you seem to be kind of the outcome of like social media online problems here. But you know, you speak your truth, I'll say.